So for those of you who know the channel, or at least those of you who have at least watched my Tower Defense Simulator videos, you know that I am very critical and very interested when it comes to lore for Roblox games. You probably know that I am way too interested in the lore of Roblox games, and I probably care a bit too much about this stuff. But regardless of me caring too much, I care for a reason, because I think that good storytelling is what makes a game good, or at least part of what makes a game good. And with Roblox Tower Defense games, we've seen a recent trend of them wanting to include stories, and some of them are most definitely better at it than others. And on the chopping block today, we have Tower Defense Simulator and their most recent event, the Frost Invasion redo. Basically a retelling of the Frost Invasion event from 2021, or 2020, I can't exactly remember when it was. I wasn't really playing the game then. So, how is it? How's the story? Has it improved since the last time we talked about it, or has it crashed and burned? Well, you've read the title, you definitely know my thoughts about it, so I just kind of wanted to talk about it here, and yeah. So, let's begin. So first off, I do want to make a note that I am not hating on the event itself. I thought the event itself was actually pretty good. I thought it had some good mechanics. I thought the presentation, the music, the gameplay, for the most part, was really, really solid, and I think they did a great job on it. The story, though, leaves a lot to be desired still. I think that Tower Defense Simulator is still trying to find its footing when it comes to the story, as the story has been very rocky. I didn't talk about Hexscape, but Hexscape also had the same problem where it's a lot better. They've definitely improved from Lunar Overture. I do want to give them props for improving their storytelling since Lunar Overture, but it still, in my opinion, does leave a lot to be desired. First of all, I do want to give them props for, once again, improving, and also the fact that they're trying to keep it linear. Hexscape has led directly into the Please Donate event, and then the Please Donate event led directly into this. So I'm glad that they are keeping a nice linear story. They're trying to keep things actually comprehensible, because they're trying to essentially make a timeline out of a game that has existed for 5 years and has previously had no real direction when it comes to a story. So I do applaud them for their attempts at trying to kind of make all of this work. However, I feel like they have made quite a few blunders with this way of storytelling. So for starters, let's talk about the thing that I really hated the most, and that is Ramiel. Sentinel Ramiel, oh my goodness gracious. This bumbling idiot buffoon guy is, for some reason, the main story antagonist. Not Frost Spirit. Frost Spirit is some random guy that they find in a little casket and they let him out at the final wave. You know, he's not leading the Frost Army. You could say that he is leading the Frost Army, but he really isn't. He's locked in a cage the entire event, and then the Children of Exo, they find him. One of them actually has Krampus' staff, which is something that I'll touch on later, but this guy has Krampus' staff. He lets him out and tells him to destroy TDS, and he's Frost Spirit, this amazing guy. Dude, this design is so cool. They have this amazing design. He's just a slave for the Children of Exo, and then he dies or portals away like Grimm from Tower Back. But yeah, the focus isn't on Frost Spirit like we all thought it would be. It's actually just on this idiot Sentinel Ramiel, which, by the way, Sentinel Ramiel, his name literally means angel. His name is Double Angel, and he has nothing to do with angels. He does nothing but rip off his shirt and shove some people. He is so stupid. Like, literally so stupid. His whole plan was to infiltrate this base by being a janitor, which is just stupid. And then pushes some people, locks himself in the room, opens the Frost Gate, and then when Frost Spirit dies, only then does this other idiot, Professor V, who is Dollar Tree Dr. Xenon, sorry, not sorry, that's the impression that I got. She just has him at gunpoint, says some weird lines, and then he just kind of runs away. Just crawls through a vent Among Us. He does an Among Us, guys. He literally does an Among Us. And then he's gone. Like, with how cocky the dispatcher and how cocky Professor V is, the Children of Exo have been nothing but an absolute joke. They have done nothing threatening. None of their plans have had any weight to them. They've been thwarted at every single turn. They are just nothing antagonists. They are so pathetic. They are treated as a joke. There is no way that they are successful in any shape, way, or form unless the plot does some intense backflips to get them to where they're supposed to be. In the first event, they only had a very small role with the artificial God Cube, and then they played second fiddle to all the demons and monsters that were taking advantage of the God Cube. Then in this event, they're just stupid. Sentinel Ramiel, he just cries and runs away whenever he loses. The rest of them, they don't show up themselves. They have Frost Spirit do all the work, and then when he dies, they're nowhere to be seen. Apparently they're still in the Frost dimension, I guess, but it's not explained how they got in there in the first place. I don't know. It's just very, very hard to take the Children of Exo seriously in any way, shape, or form. And you know what? I get it. You know what? TDS is not TDX. TDS is not Tower Blitz. It's not a game that takes itself as seriously. But it is still a game that is trying to take itself a little seriously now. And I feel like as much as it's cool to be like silly and funny with your villains, it's also weird to not only give them no direction and give them just such laughably pathetic plans that fail and then give them nothing to really work with afterwards. Like for all the bumbling and all the nothing that they did in the Hexscape, at least we had the solace that, hey, they were building up to this plan, Operation Ice. And at first, that seemed to be the case. I believe it would have been a lot better if Ramiel somehow turned himself into the Frost Spirit using whatever strange experiments were going on at Outpost 32, which would allow him to control the Frost Legion that has been abandoned. That would have been so much cooler, but no, Sentinel Ramiel's just a weird, shirtless man who cries and runs away when his plan fails. Great game, guys. Great story. I do think that the things that are not said in the story are the most interesting. Like, for one, the fact that the Children of Exo seem to have Krampus' staff. I think that's a very interesting detail that shows that the Krampus event, and therefore Violent Night, happened earliest in the timeline, because they've had to have stolen Krampus' staff after he died, which is pretty interesting. Then we have, obviously, of course, Frost Spirit himself. Frost Spirit's design is awesome. There's no way around it. He looks so cool. I love the way that Frost Spirit looks. And one thing that I thought was pretty interesting is a lot of the enemies in the Frost event, in the Frost Invasion event, this new one, they are reskins or very inspired by Fallen mode. And the Frost Spirit himself, if you really look at him, he looks a lot like a Fallen. He's got the black face, he's got the blue eyes, he's got like the glowing like stuff. He looks very similar to a lot of the Fallen enemies, and a lot of the troops in there are Fallen adjacent. They act a lot like some enemies in Fallen. So it makes me wonder if the Frost people, the Frost race, are like a group of Fallen that were exiled for whatever reason. I don't know, that's just some little theory stuff. But do you see, like, all the stuff that goes unsaid is so much more interesting than what's actually happening, especially with the Children of Exo. So I really hope that when it comes down to the next event, or as they're going forward with these, they give the Children of Exo something more to do other than be cartoonishly simplistic villains, and giving them more of a threatening like role in the story. Because it seems like the dispatcher, especially the way that she talks about them, she sees them as like a nuisance, like a little pest, when they're supposed to be like this big cult that we're fearing. Oh, Lord Exo, he's supposed to be this big, scary guy, he's supposed to be this big villain. I don't know, it's just hard to take TDS lore seriously, even though I will admit, obviously, they are improving, and I think it's good that they're improving. But yeah, that's really all that I have to say, so yeah, be sure to like and subscribe, and bye.